Hey everybody, how's it going? I've come out for a bit of an adventure today, and that's because all of my bike rides were starting to become incredibly similar. I was challenged by Komoot a few weeks ago to create some genuinely original adventures using roads that I know far too well. See, the problem is I always ride them in the same direction. I link up one road to the next road because I know it's going to take me 7 minutes to cover that hill, to get into the next valley so I can do some certain intervals. All of that's gone out the window today. I've planned a completely brand new route that I've never ridden before. You're coming along with me. I'm going to show you exactly how I planned the route, why I chose to go where we're about to go. First off, it doesn't even look like Cornwall anymore, does it? So we're in a part of Cornwall now, which I'd nearly never come to when training, and that's because it's quite dirty in the winter, I think, and also the roads aren't that optimal. They're quite narrow, they're quite twisty, the descents are steep and the climbs are steep as well, meaning that it's just not that great for aerobic training when you're always wanting to maintain a fairly consistent power output. But what you can see from here is beautiful and it's well worth visiting. Over there in the background, we have the clay pits. Highlight that in a minute. And it's huge agricultural land in this part of Cornwall, which on the whole, I would say is not necessarily something you associate with Cornwall. Yeah, rural agriculture, but more cows and fields, small holdings rather than big arable farms. It's beautiful, it's nice to see a difference. We're gonna head to the woods over there now. My plan with this ride was to traverse some of my more favourite training rides. So we've gone across the Lapierre Valley, where I used to do all of my 20-minute threshold style efforts when I was racing, and also nowadays when I want to train and improve my fitness, I do it there. I wanted to go across there at 90 degrees, linking up a few different valleys. The Lapierre Valley. I wouldn't like to guess how many hundreds of hours I've potentially spent riding up and down here at different times over the years. Totaled, obviously, normally at zone 3 or zone 4. Painfully hard. It's always windy. It's never flat, and it's never as fast as you hope. I think in the past I never even considered that some of these roads were here, coming from the Lapierre Valley over towards the clay pits. The clay pits are the host of one of the highest roads in Cornwall. I think Minions probably ties with it, of around 310 metres up in the air. Cornwall has loads of small hills, not many big ones. So I used to go to the clay pits for big hilly days of training, on big long rides to go towards Bodmin Moor, which we can't quite see at the moment because it's obscured by the clay pits, but the clay pits are one of the most unique looking places in Cornwall. We've linked up the Idliss Valley, the Lapierre Valley, we've gone across over into the next valley and dropped down to a place called Komoot, and then we've headed out onto the Roseland. To achieve this, I selected a couple of highlights on the Komoot app. Number one was the Idliss Woods Valley. It's a nice, leafy and quiet lane at the back of Truro. My starting point was Truro train station. The idea behind this was that other people could perhaps come and ride the route, having arrived in Truro on the train. So we go through Idliss, over a highlight, which means that I've seen selected photos of this highlight. I know it's going to be a nice road. I can see what the terrain's going to be, and I can see what the road surface is going to be. I've then linked it up with Lamorren Woods, which is my next stop on this ride, and that's just over there. It's actually one of the first places I ever rode my bike when I was 9 years old, on a proper ride, out and about with Truro Cycling Club and my dad for the first time. When you're out on a ride like this, you see something which is truly spectacularly beautiful. Something like this, where you could come and sit quietly by the sea, take a picture and add it to the highlight. Describe what it is that you found. Maybe it's a cafe, maybe it's not a beautiful view, maybe it's just a small town that you really think is worth visiting. The whole idea behind using Komoot to build a route like this is when someone travels to a new area, they can simply look at the photos, see what it is that they can expect to see on their tour, feel inspired to go there, select it as a highlight, and off they go. Whilst my favourite way to navigate is while using the head unit on the handlebars, you could open the app, mount it to your stem on the bike and receive audio prompts as you're going. That way you can never miss a turn again. I previously mentioned that one of my favourite features about Komoot is the highlights function, where you can log in, check out the highlights somebody else has created, maybe even submit your own highlights and write a brief description. But there are so many other features in the app which help create your ultimate on-bike experience translated from the route that you planned. One of them is that you can choose your activity type in the top right-hand corner of the app. So I've chosen road cycling for today. And then crucially, to help give you a really good understanding of how long you're going to be out on the bike, you can choose your fitness level. Generally speaking, I choose athletic for a normal, enjoyable bike ride. If I want to ride hard, I'll choose Pro. And if I want to have a recovery ride, then I drop it back down to in good shape. For me, roughly, that translates really well to how I feel on the bike in real life, and it gives a really good idea and indication of how long that ride's going to take me. Once I've done that, because I really don't enjoy riding in the rain like I used to, I then check the forecast. This has proved to be incredibly important, especially when planning longer rides, just to know what the weather is going to be like at every hour of the day throughout that ride. Recently in August, I did a 20-hour day on the bike, rode for just under 17 hours, and it was really important to see what the forecast was and especially the temperature throughout the day. You can also change the type of map that it is that you want to look at, so whether it's cycling, hiking, mountain biking, Komoot, or even the Komoot satellite app. You can even use the trail view feature to see off-road trails. Once you've adjusted your fitness parameters and the type of activity you want to do, the app will give you a difficulty rating. Now, this isn't the longest ride on earth. It's 59 kilometers, but it is relatively hilly and it is quite technical in places with a few questionable surfaces on the ride. Therefore, it's given an intermediate rating. However, based on the duration of the ride, it's saying your experience that's going to be needed is relatively low. There's one final feature on the app which I find really, really valuable, and that's especially suited to rides like we're doing today where the surface isn't going to be perfect. It's the surface type. It's going to tell you the percentage of your ride that's on a state road, on a regional road, or an unpaved surface. All of ours is paved today, but it will help indicate if we're planning any rides across bridleways or things like that, how severe that terrain is going to be. I think the nicest thing about this ride for me is it goes against all of the stereotypes of cycling in Cornwall. There are no coastal views. There was an estuary, mainly a river, a bit silty. I don't think that counts as real life Cornwall. The Cornwall that we all see, we know and enjoy. It's so different to that. We've zigzagged all of the valleys, crisscrossed, seen it in a completely different way to how I normally see it, and I absolutely love that. It's a new experience. Some of these roads I know. Some of them I've ridden a little bit more than others. Like I said in the video a little bit earlier, some of them were the first roads that I ever rode. But to come back and revisit them as a genuine adventure, linking them up in a different direction, really very special, really very enjoyable, and I challenge you to do the same at home. We don't all go away and ride our bikes all the time. Sometimes you have to make adventure from your front door. I'm going to finish my ride by looping around the estuary and back into Truro, but before I go, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Komoot for supporting this video and inspiring me to create an adventure on roads that I know far too well. Over 25 years of riding on these roads, but today has felt like a genuine adventure and an exploration. Hopefully it's inspired you to try exactly the same at home. For the coming months, I'm definitely going to be making a conscious effort to mix up my rides, to try and create more of an explore like I have today. It's been a lot of fun. If you haven't done so already, head over to Komoot, check out my profile, my collection of old roads, new rides. Give me a follow as well. You can see what adventures I get up to over the winter. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video again soon.